How's it going? How's everybody doing? So tonight I'm going to be talking about Sense of Wood. They're one of my favorite brands. I would say they're probably a top 10 favorite brand for me. There's a ton of their fragrances that I really like. A number I got full bottles of. I have a wish list to buy next kind of for them, and it's probably has 5 or 6 that I still need to pick up. They have a couple discontinued that I need to go search out and try to grab. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about their most popular fragrance. So that is Plum and Cognac. And Plum and Cognac, I think, was released in 2021. It may have been the tail end of 2020. And how they came out of the gate, the brand, is they had a subscription that you could pay, annually for, and then, or actually, I think you got charged monthly for it. But you signed up; it was for a year. You got charged monthly, and you would get 10 ml, and you used to get a candle. And you would get those every month. And so I think they did that for 2 years. Then on year 3, I ended up having subscriptions year 1, year 2, and then in year 3 they did like the best of both years and kind of put them together so people can walk through the most popular fragrances from the brand for the 3rd year. I did not sign up for that. I already had all those fragrances and I knew what I liked, so I just kind of stuck with what I had. And then they released another subscription. I think it was in 2023, the tail end of 2023, in September. And I did not sign up for that until I think the end of last year, maybe autumn of last year. And they now have moved the subscriptions to where rather than once a month, they come out once every 3 months. I believe it is, once every 3 months they come out. They have 4 a year, and you only get charged for the one, so you're getting charged 4 payments 4 times a year. And it's actually, I like it a lot more. You get an opportunity to spend more time with the fragrance, really experiment with it in warmer temperatures or cooler temperatures, or depending on how your body is moving or whatever it's doing throughout the day. And it just gives you a real good opportunity to get familiar with the fragrance and find the kind of environment that you like wearing it in most, or if you even like wearing it. So that's one thing I've really appreciated about this brand, is the whole experience that they've kind of created through the subscription. So I would definitely recommend, like, if that's something that kind of piques your interest, to look into them for that. But like I said, we're going to be going over their most popular one, which is, I have 10 mLs of each. I've yet to buy a full bottle, and I'll reveal at the end which one I'm intending on buying a full bottle of. So just a little bit about kind of Sense of Wood too, and why they kind of even got into making 2 variations of this scent. So Sense of Wood, they take the alcohol that they use in the composition, or in the fragrance, and they age it in barrels. So a lot of their naming conventions revolve around that. So you have like oak and oak, which would be aged in oak barrels. You have I think there's a Hinoki and Hinoki. I don't know if that's aged in Hinoki barrels. They have ones that are aged in chestnut. They have ones that are aged in acacia. There's some that are they have a fragrance called oud and bourbon, which is aged in bourbon barrels. And then Plum and Cognac is aged in cognac barrels. And so when they do that, it adds like just the alcohol in the fragrance adds its own kind of really nuanced and neat characteristics that are unique to that aging process. And then what happened is the barrel that they were using to age the alcohol had ran its course. Like it was done. They needed to get a new barrel, and with a new barrel comes new facets and characteristics and nuances that maybe don't work as well as with the original formula. So that what they did is they, with the new barrel of the aged alcohol, they kind of reworked the formula. It's in the same vein. It's like this kind of, the fragrances, you could tell that they're related without a doubt. It's not like this is way different than the original, but there is a difference. So today's video is about the difference, and yeah, I'm going to share which one that I like the most, and we'll go from there. So I have dry downs I've already sprayed of each fragrance on the tops here, and then I'm going to respray just on the forearm. The bummer about liking fragrances is the real estate on your arms gets used up pretty quick. So oh, and I'll just show you too, the subscription, you'll get them in little cases like this, which will slide out. They'll have a card with the notes and a little bit about the fragrance kind of on the card. And then each fragrance will be held in one of these little bad boys here that slide right in there. So it's a nice little presentation for a 10 ml. And this one's called Burnt Hinoki, and I'll be diving into that one too. But Plum and Cognac, OG. Like I said, I think this came out in 2021, or it could have been the tail end of 2020. And this won the 2021 Art and Olfactive Award. So we'll just go ahead and spray. It's a gorgeous scent. And I kind of describe fragrances a little weird. I think about them in layers, literally like layering a cake or something. And I also, the other way I think about them is I work in film and video production, so I think about, like notes and stuff that are in the foreground and then some that are in the background. So you might hear me allude to that kind of thing. So, but I would say with the OG, it's a really dark, complex, rich, warm fragrance. Very warm, very inviting, very comforting. Comforting is all get up. I always imagine in my head like a kind of overcast day that's cool outside and it's fall, and leaves are falling on the ground. You have like plums that have kind of fallen from the tree and maybe have been trampled underfoot, and it kind of has, to me, it has that kind of vibe. The fruit is not like bright and uplifting. It's more like this muted kind of, even maybe leaning towards more like a preserve type thing. I wouldn't call it jammy, but it leans kind of more towards that type of plum. And then I get, like I told you before, I get woods in the foreground and in the background. There's kind of an earthiness, like I said, a complexity that's in this one that's really beautiful. To me, it's more, it's not in your face. It's more reserved, a little more subtle. There's some spices in there, and the notes actually are rum, purple plum, cinnamon bark, Peru balsam, osmanthus, immortelle, vetiver, vanilla, and cistus. And yeah, there's like a real smoothness to this. It's a little kind of subdued to me. I use the term relaxed a lot for fragrances that I really like, and I would use that for this one. And just getting to the dry down, when you get to the dry down, it's like a vanillic, woody. You still, to be honest, there's still a little bit of spice there. The cistus is more pronounced. A faded rum is in there. Yeah, so that's kind of like the dry down. So that's open to close on that. And then this will be the new guy. And they call it a vintage, 2024 vintage, which I really kind of dig because it makes it like wines, you know. They keep making the same kind of formula, so to speak, or like the wine is the same, the grapes are the same, but the season, every growing season yields a different flavor, so to speak. How it will have different nuances, if you know that about wine. So this is really no different. But the ingredients that they have there, that they have in this one, are you have some obviously plum. You have the honeyed broom, immortelle, cinnamon bark, so some of the same ingredients. And then you got, there's some smoky facets in there, and vetiver. Yeah, and I'm assuming there's a little bit of vanilla. So this one it's a different beast. Again, you can tell they're related, but it is much more bright. It's much more fruit forward. You don't have the woodiness, and maybe that earthy element that kind of is in the foreground, like I had mentioned with the OG. That plum, again, it's not a darker kind of muted, there's not a lot of complexity. It just has a lot of juiciness. It's bright, it's forward, like I said. There is a sense, and this is kind of where I start kind of, I would say I lean towards this one. So this is the one that I'm looking to buy at some point. With this one, there is I pick up on a slight cosmetic kind of powderiness, at least on my skin. I don't know if that maybe is like that broom, or maybe how the way the immortelle is working, or I'm not really quite sure as to what's causing that, but it's not bad. But it's kind of at the ceiling. And as well, this is sweeter than this. This is not very sweet, but this catches your nose. It is very warm and inviting, and it draws people in. This kind of is more like a statement perfume. Like, it kind of has an exclamation point on it with that juiciness and the brightness up front. It will dry down to a bit of that kind of more powdery, smooth. This one has more of a smoothness, and it kind of like a rounded out towards the dry down. Like, it rounds out really nicely. That's the one thing I will say. Like I said, this, to me, this has a little bit of dirtiness to it, which I like in fragrance. Don't get me wrong. Like, I that's a good thing. Like, I when I say it has a little dirtiness, to me it means there's just something, I don't know, a little old school about it. It has a little oomph, and I dig it. And yeah, this is not bad, but again, it has more of a refined kind of scent, smoothed out. It's a lot smoother. It's not as kind of dirty around the edges and whatnot. So yeah, that's kind of the two. Real quickly, you can, I don't know if they're doing their subscription anymore, but I do know that they're still doing the 10 mLs. You can get one 10 ml for $55, or they have a 3-pack for $135. So you could get both of these and try them out for yourself. I'd love to hear what your experiences is and your thoughts. Also, there's a couple, I'll list a couple others that I would highly recommend. So I really love Oak and Oak. It's my all-time favorite from the brand. Oud and Oak, you might be able to catch it. They discontinued it a couple months ago, but I find it's my second favorite. Oud and Bourbon is a great coffee oud fragrance. I love Bread and Chestnut. I love Plum and Cognac. Yeah, those are some of my favorites. That's it for today. Just wanted to compare the two, talk about Plum and Cognac OG, Plum and Cognac Vintage 2024, give you my thoughts. And yeah, like you may or may not know, this is a new channel for all the people that have been supporting from the get. big thank you. But if you could like, comment, subscribe, it would be greatly appreciated. I just enjoy talking perfumes, giving my opinions and my thoughts. I love interaction, so please drop comments, ask questions, give your input. I would love to hear what you guys' thoughts are, and I love all that engagement and dialogue around that kind of thing. So please do that. If you could share, I would appreciate it as well. Until next time, peace.